This is Storytime Magic. And now, for our first whimsical tale to tuck your kids in, we have The Magical Pillowcase by Chris Ference. Once upon a time in a kingdom, not so far away, there was a princess whose hair was as wild and untamable as a field of sunflowers in the wind. Every morning it took her ladies-in-waiting hours to brush out all the knots so that the princess could wear her favorite headband. But no matter how careful they were, the princess's hair was always a tangled mess by the end of the day. "Oh, I wish there was an easier way," she sighed one evening as her ladies-in-waiting struggled with her unruly locks. Suddenly, a tiny voice squeaked, "I can help you." The princess and her ladies-in-waiting looked around to see where the voice had come from. Then they saw a little field mouse wearing a nightgown and holding a silver comb. "What? How?" stammered the princess. "Just put your head down, please," said the mouse. And before the princess could reply, the mouse began to comb through her hair. It tickled so much that soon the princess was fast asleep. When she awoke, her hair was perfectly brushed, not a single strand out of place. The little mouse had vanished, but she left behind a small silver comb and a note. "Give this comb to the baker's daughter," it read, "and ask her to make you a pillowcase as soft as air." The next day, the princess visited the baker's daughter, who was known throughout the land for her delicious breads and pastries. But when the princess requested a special order, the baker's daughter looked puzzled. "A pillowcase as soft as air," she repeated. "That's quite a challenge." But after some time to think, she had an idea. She gathered up some flour, kneaded it with water and yeast, then let it rise like the dough for her famous sourdough bread. Once it was puffy and light, she cut it up, made a mold in the shape of a pillowcase, and let it rise again. When it was done, she baked it in her oven until it was golden-hued and smelled like fresh bread. The princess was delighted with her pillowcase, which was indeed as soft as air. And from that day on, whenever the princess felt like her hair was getting out of control, she would visit the baker's daughter for a fresh loaf of pillowcase. Now, every Friday night, the baker's daughter would take the old pillowcases and give them to the mice living in the walls, who were always in need of new nests for their young. Everyone was happy with this arrangement until one day the king ordered his daughter to wear a special golden crown for the upcoming royal ball. But the princess refused. "No, no, no," she cried. "If I wear that heavy, uncomfortable crown, my hair will be a disaster by the time the evening is over. Oh, I wish there was a way to tame my hair without a crown." As if by magic, a little field mouse wearing a nightgown popped out from behind a curtain. "I can help you," she squeaked. And once again, the princess fell fast asleep while the mouse worked her magic. When she woke, her hair was perfectly combed and nestled beneath the softest, fluffiest pillowcase the baker's daughter had ever made. On top of her head sat a beautiful wooden crown, almost like the one the king had ordered. Except it was a perfect match for her simple gown, and much more comfortable than the heavy gold. The princess was so grateful that the little mouse had made her a crown to match her dress that she offered the mouse anything she wished in return. "All I want is for you to give your comb to my sister," said the mouse. "She has babies, you see, and a comb would come in very handy." The princess tucked the comb into her belt, and off she went to find the baker's daughter, who was busy rolling out dough for a new batch of pillowcases. "I have something even softer than air for you," the princess said, handing over the comb. And from that day on, the baker's daughter used the princess's comb to make pillowcases so soft that the queen ordered several sets to line the royal cradle, and everyone lived happily ever after, especially the little field mice with their brand new nests. Now for our second story, we have The Night Dragon by Mary Norden. Deep in a cave hidden between a mountain and a lake, lived a grumpy dragon who sneezed fire. He was so grumpy that no one wanted to live near his cave, and he was so good at hiding that no one even knew he was there. That is, until one day when a woodcutter named Giles accidentally stumbled onto his cave while looking for firewood. Giles jumped back in surprise when he heard a deep voice, "Boom, who's there?" "It's just me, Giles," he called out, a little frightened. "And I'm sorry, but I need some wood to build a fire back home for my family tonight." The dragon grumbled something about noisy humans and blasted a small amount of fire toward Giles to scare him away. But instead of running, Giles pulled a handkerchief from his pocket and waved it in front of his face. "Oh, my eyes, he cried, pretending to be blinded by the smoke. "I can't see a thing. I must hurry home before I run into something or someone." With that, he turned and slowly walked away from the cave, dragging a small log with him. Now, Giles wasn't really blinded, but he was hoping the dragon wouldn't realize that he was picking up a huge amount of firewood, enough to last the dragon through the winter. and his plan worked perfectly. For weeks, Giles returned to collect more wood for the dragon, and each time he took a little more than the last. Before long, the cave was filled to the brim with firewood, and Giles knew it was finally time to reveal himself. So the next time he approached the cave, he called out, "Hello, Mr. Dragon, I've brought you some wood." There was a moment of silence, and then the dragon roared with laughter. "Well met, Giles," he boomed. Come in, come in. I knew you weren't really blinded. You clever woodcutter. But why are you bringing me all this firewood?" "Because I thought maybe you were lonely and could use some company," Giles replied. The dragon grunted, then asked, "Would you like to see something amazing?" "Yes, please," said Giles, and the dragon blew a puff of smoke out of his nostrils. "Look," he said proudly, "I can make myself invisible." And with that, he vanished. Giles laughed. "That is amazing," he said, but he couldn't help adding, "Though I do like it when you're not invisible, because then I get to collect more firewood." And from that day on, Giles and the dragon became the best of friends. They spent their days chopping wood, collecting berries, and telling stories. And though the villagers never knew about their friendship, they did notice that since Giles and the dragon had become friends, the dragon no longer blasted fire at people or animals passing by the lake or mountain. And sometimes at night, if the wind was just right, they could hear the dragon roaring with laughter, which sounded a lot like a friendly hello. Now for our third story, we have The Brave Little Tailor by Arnold Lobel. Once upon a time, a tailor was working on a jacket for a very important customer, the king. But the tailor was so slow and clumsy that he kept making mistakes. First, he cut the sleeves too short. Then he sewed the buttons on upside down. And when he went to deliver the jacket to the king, he tripped and fell flat on his face. The king was furious. "Fix this jacket right away, and don't make another mistake," he commanded. So the tailor rushed home to fix the jacket and make the king happy. But the harder he worked, the more mistakes he made. And soon he was in a panic. Just then, a small mouse peeked in through the window. "Why are you so upset?" she squeaked. The tailor poured out his troubles to the mouse, who listened patiently. "I know just what to do," she said when he was finished. "Go to the king and tell him you've made him a jacket that's even better than the one you first presented to him. Just make sure you have these 7 magical thimbles with you when you go." The tailor thanked the mouse and raced to the king's palace. He burst through the doors and cried, "Your Majesty, I've made you an even better jacket than the last one, and I call it the jacket of 7 Meditas." The king looked doubtful, but he agreed to try it on. The tailor slipped the jacket over the king's head and buttoned it up. Then he placed the 7 thimbles on the buttons, and the moment the thimbles touched the king's skin, the jacket magically shrunk, becoming tighter and more handsome than any jacket the tailor had ever made. The king was overjoyed. "I'll pay you whatever you ask for," he exclaimed. The tailor looked at the thimbles and replied, "All I ask is that you give these 7 thimbles to the little field mouse who helped me make the jacket of 7 Meditas." And from that day on, the tailor became famous throughout the kingdom for his beautiful, well-made clothes, and the king and the mouse remained the best of friends. And now it's time for Tuck-In. I hope you enjoyed these whimsy tales as much as I did. If you want to hear more stories like these, subscribe to our channel for more magical adventures. And remember, a little bit of magic can be found in every story if you just believe. Sweet dreams, my little dreamers.